So I don't know if you know this meme, but the whole movie I felt like the little white fuzzy guy who's like this because he's like pointing at something, but it was me with dads because it's just like dads, and the whole movie. That's all I could think was just like the theme of dads and fatherhood. Because as much as there are mothers in this, it is about a father, a son, and then the son kind of becoming a father himself. Yeah. When you do have a movie that is so heavily, like, has those themes but is for kids, how do you navigate making it so it is emotionally resonant for the adults who are watching it? Because we all can understand where those two characters are coming from.
I think it's to present an honest perspective on the challenges of being a parent. And feeling like you don't have the first idea of what it means to bring a life in and kind of guide this little person that's forming. So I think that not only the funny bits of, you know, one of the things that where ideas would stem from, for example, when Emmy escapes from the house and she's running through the city, I just said, you know, as a parent, a lot of parents have had that experience of a kid running into the middle of the street. And it's hilarious for the kid. They're having the time of their life. But for a parent, it's terrifying because they know what the threat is that the kid doesn't yet see that's coming. And now the baby is 35 feet tall and she could accidentally kill people whenever she gets into the city. So there's that added level. So it was to take something that is a basic experience that many parents have had and trying to be truthful to that in the middle of this very fantastic world.
Yeah, you know, sometimes, you know, I kind of think that kids are more observant than you think. I know I was, and I watched, you know, adults, you know, handle certain things or behave a certain way, and just sort of like kind of have these like flashes of memory of like how they've, you know, how they kind of taught me, raised me, and also how they handle certain situations that didn't relate to me. And so I think it's showcasing moments like that in the film kind of helps kind of age them up. You know, of course we have all the fun popcorn stuff in the film and fun stuff, action stuff that the younger audience will you know, eat up, but I think it's okay to give them some others and give it that flavor, so that if they were to rewatch it as an adult or when they get older, as a teen, that there's some new discoveries and connections.
And I wanted to bring up the fact that you guys you made a stone cold hottie, because Kenji is like, everyone was obsessed with Kenji when this movie came out. And are still like, yeah, that's a hot animated guy, which there are a lot of them. But were you expecting that reaction from the internet when you made him?
We didn't expect it to be as big as it was, but we intentionally, we wanted him to be a good-looking guy, as a lot of professional athletes are. But I do remember at one point our art director saying, this may be the thirstiest character ever in animation. And it was funny because we would have a little playful competition because there were a couple of other things going on at Netflix at the time. And they're like, no, I think our character's the thirstiest. And I was like, well, I think the internet decided.
Yeah.
And they did. And so, yeah, but I actually said as we were getting into it, as the shots were coming in that Island were finishing, I kept saying there's that shot of Ken in the ice bath. I said, release that image as soon as possible because I'm telling you, people are going to react to it. Well, you know, we go to hole, we can get some of that action. I was like, I'm telling you, release that image. People are going to be all over it. When we finally did, of course, there have been all kinds of memes and people have recreated it, and it's been pretty cool. So,
yeah, it is the year of like just people thirsting after Netflix movies. Yeah. Animated, live action doesn't matter.
Somebody just said, I didn't know Ken Timber was a thing. But they said it's Ken Timber. Or Ken Tober. Ken Tober is what Ken Tober, yeah.
What did you like? Because I'm looking at your shirts. I was like, I realized your shirt was Zero as I was sitting over here. And then you also have an Ultraman shirt on, obviously. But this in itself is nostalgic, but you clearly are a fan of like animation. And it made me think of how Ken's kind of built like Jack Skellington, because he's real tall and lanky. Yeah. But when you are doing something that is so nostalgic for people, but you're also presenting it to an audience that they're going to come into this and be new to it, what has been your favorite part of that process, and now getting to see the new fans of something connecting with it as well as older fans of Ultraman?
My two favorite comments are longtime fans who thought that they wouldn't love the movie falling in love with it, and seeing that we are big fans ourselves and that we were very thoughtful about and how we approached it. The other is people saying, I didn't know the first thing about Ultraman, and I watched it, and I loved it. I was just talking with the head of a production company, of a pretty big production company, a couple of weeks ago, and she said, you know, before this meeting, your agent was like, you got to watch some of this movie, and I thought, yeah, I just watched like 20 or 30 minutes, and she goes, I couldn't stop. I loved it. And that meant a lot. She was like, I don't know anything about Ultraman. And it was like, it was literal homework for her. But she loved it. And that meant a lot because, you know, it's tough to put your soul out into the world. And that's what it feels like when you're releasing a movie.
Yeah, you know what I love? When we actually had a chance to screen the movie in Japan at Ghibli.
Yeah.
And there was a staff member who you know, who's Japanese, and Ultraman's all over Japan.
Yeah.
But never watched the series or got into it. But as a mother, she related to the film so much that she actually told us she's interested now.
Yeah.
And so those are all amazing thing to hear, and that people are discovering it in a new way that way. It's really great.
Well, I love when you said earlier today about Baby Mine, because it made me think about how, I said to Scott that this is the new, now the score of this movie is in the lexicon of sad dad compositions.
Yeah.
And I even said to him, I was like Interstellar, it reminded me of stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when you are doing something that is not only nostalgic, but it has these themes that people really connect with, especially with the kaiju, and it made me think of Pacific Rim and Dads.
Yeah.
What, for you guys, was the biggest inspiration outside of Ultraman in making this as emotionally grounded as it ended up being?
So two things. One that I've mentioned is Kramer versus Kramer, because that feels like a very authentic story about the troubles with all kinds of relationships. But the other is just personal experience and trying to be vulnerable as a director with the team and saying this is something that happened to me that was challenging, that I went through, and I want to put it in the film. And also I encourage you to put your personal experiences into the film as well, because people will feel that authenticity and that honesty whenever they watch it.
Yeah, gosh, there's so many moments through the production, and even with our Japanese and Asian, artists and crew members, that being able to do a film that actually took place in Japan and that we can relate to as Asians, and having some of that in there is and represented properly, And then it's not about that, but it's just a way to honor and approach it in an authentic way, and how much everyone leveled up through the process, and even for people that wanting to learn our culture, people that are of non-Asian descent, non-Japanese, that wanted to understand the culture and really get it right. That was super rewarding.